How's it poppin'? It's Tamaskar Arc 11 with a LEGO model of my personal Skell in Xenoblade X. I've completely rebuilt this from the ground up to be more accurately sized and shaped than previous forms, designing a whole new frame from scratch and reworking the armor to fit. This is the Formula Unicorn version 5.1. The point 1 is because I also updated the weapons too after redesigning the frame and armor. As you can tell from the name, this Skell is based on the Unicorn Gundam, in its color scheme and parts of its loadout. There's a few extra weapons here beyond the 10 a Skell would normally carry, and almost all of it is based on my actual Skell build. One of the pieces of armor has a habit of falling off when the legs move the wrong way. The frame construction leaves a few spots of instability, but overall it stays in a pose once you set it. Just moving around causes it to destabilize. Here's just the Skell by itself without most of the weapons, giving a better view of the frame and body shape. Aside from the feet, the frame is all Technic pieces while the armor is all regular pieces. For the feet, there's one Technic ball joint in the center to connect to the rest of the frame, and the blade claw at the back of the foot is some Technic click joints. It can be angled for flight position, but it won't stand up on it this way. On the ankles, I included some small grenade launchers based on what the full-armored Unicorn Gundam is equipped with. The paneling and lights are drawn on the way I usually do with my custom figures in Pokemon. If you've seen my Gunpla reviews, you know that I absolutely love side armor on mechs like this. Did this love come from the Formula and Layla? Probably. Another customization is that I put lots of extra thrusters all over to represent how my Skell is an evasion tank build. This 4-length Technic piece was added for stabilization. It prevents the leg from folding backwards by catching the vent grate. Then also for stabilization is this 2-length piece by the hip, which keeps the leg from bending too far back by catching on the L bar above it. This prevents the Skell from toppling over if the ball joint hips slide too much. It'll just lean backwards instead of falling over completely. A little Earth-life colonization project written there for detail. Unfortunately, the cockpit is not functional to hold a minifig or drop down, but I like how it looks at least. The egg cockpits on Skells are really cool. The head is attached to the torso, and the way it's angled makes it only able to look up, but not left or right. Put the unicorn logo on the shoulder armor here. Getting the lining on the shoulders done right was actually way harder than it looks like it'd be, mainly keeping them symmetrical. One of the things that I really wanted out of this redesigned frame was articulation. That had to be sacrificed in some areas for stability, but if we remove those mid-leg stabilization pieces, the legs can be adjusted to set into standby position when the pilot exits. It's not totally perfect, especially since the feet lack the movable claws used to stabilize this position in-game, and I couldn't include a function for the frontal armor to slide back, but it gets pretty close. Here's how the head can move. I'll try updating it again at some point to see if I can make a ball-jointed head for better range. Then the arms. The build itself has very good flexibility, but unfortunately the arms get blocked from moving too much when the weapons are on. But next, on to the modular weapons. For weapons, first we have the sidearms. The main one being the Sakuraba beam rifle. The build for this is clunky, and I should make a new rifle build eventually. Translucent stud on the barrel to look like the beam blasts coming out. Then for support is the simple shotgun. My Skell build uses this as a stat stick for its traits, so for the model I just have it set equipped to the side armor, but it is built to attach to the hands too if I want to. For spare weapons, there's a stack of thermal cracker grenades on the other side armor, and the staple beam saber. I filled this with white rod pieces to keep it solid. My actual Skell build uses a beam saber and beam saw, but the saw would have been too difficult to build. For back weapons is the Zweihand Quarterer super weapon. My Skell's main DPS with the rest of the build designed around fishing for cockpit time to reset it, and stat sticks to boost its gravity damage. For the base of these gravity swords, I really liked this old Exoforce piece, but building up the rest around it was a little tough. I also wanted to include the thrusters on them that give the propulsion to hit with gravity, so I used some translucent pieces for that. Then some additional back weapons that in-game wouldn't be equipable alongside the Zweihand. But mechs need absurd amounts of weapons, so here's the back-mounted B-Gatling. I made it with a gear to rotate it and look like it's firing. Though it's not flush, so you have to press in on it for it to actually work. Not the best functionality. And then some Sakuraba S missiles, because you gotta have missiles. For shoulders, the Maximal Sniper Rifle. I built it to flip open like it does in-game, which is one of the coolest animations ever. I used this on my original Skell in the Wii U version, but my current Skell doesn't use this. It uses a G-Buster instead. However, that would have been too difficult to build and thrown off the weight balance too much. Plus the Maximal Sniper looks cooler. The second core of my build, Xenoblade X's strongest Skell weapon, the drones. These are just Gundam funnels in function and brokenness. The drones are built individually to sit on the rack, where I can take them off to dart around. And lastly, on the arms, I have a mix of 4 different weapons put together. My Skell uses a minigun and a shield, so for this model I turned those into the Unicorn Gundam's large Gatling shields. On one side is one that's designed more specifically to be the Unicorn Gatling shield, with its double sets of rotating barrels. And on the other side is a shield over something closer to the Skell weapon minigun. For extra artillery, some beam missiles are also slotted into the shield too. And to end with, here's myself the pilot for Sense of Scale. Leave a like and comment if you also think mechs are the greatest things in the world, whether that world will be Earth or Mira. Next month I should have another Skell model using the same frame build, and if you want to see the figures I've made of characters from the Xenoblade games, you can click on the playlist on the left of the screen. And see you next time!